UrantianArtist here, welcoming you to my podcast, Episode 5 on the Spirit of Truth. In paper 180, I love the part where it is telling about Jesus talking to the apostles after the Last Supper, where he was preparing them to receive the Spirit of Truth. He explained to them, "Today I can be with you only in person. In the times to come, I will be with you and all other men who desire my presence, wherever you may be, and with each of you at the same time. Do you not discern it is better for me to go away, that I leave you in the flesh, so that I may the better and the more fully be with you in spirit?" So happy I have my associate Callie, whose voice is full of enthusiasm and Christ consciousness, to be with me to share her beautiful insights. Callie, will you introduce our 5th episode?
UrantianArtist, thank you for having me on episode 5, The Spirit of Truth. When I looked up truth to define in the dictionary, it says the state or character of being true, actuality, or actual existence. In paper 52, it says something really interesting, UrantianArtist. It says, the bestowed Son lives and dies for the spiritual uplift of the mortal races of a world. He establishes the new and living way. His life is an incarnation of paradise truth in mortal flesh. That very truth, even the Spirit of Truth.
Wow, that's his purpose, isn't it?
That he poured it out? Yeah. Because, I mean, like you said in the beginning about how before he couldn't be with each and every one of us,
Right.
but only because of after the bestowal that he's able to be with all of us at the same time, UrantianArtist.
Yes. And then in paper 141, why Jesus laid great emphasis upon what he called the two truths of first import in the teaching of the kingdom, and they are the attainment of salvation by faith and faith alone, associated with the revolutionary teaching of the attainment of human liberty through the sincere recognition of truth. Isn't that interesting that he's calling it a revolutionary teaching?
Yes.
Of the attainment of human liberty. And then he said, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." Jesus was the truth made manifest in the flesh, and he promised to send his Spirit of truth into the hearts of all his children after his return to the Father in heaven. And of course that means after the resurrection, why he, in a sense, reported to the Father.
Right.
His received probably affirmation from the Father that he had done. He had lived his 7th bestowal with what's the word? He lived it with nobility and righteousness and in very truth. Yeah, in the very
Definitely.
truth. Okay.
Thank you for reading that, UrantianArtist. It reminds me of paper 56, where it says, universal beauty is the recognition of the reflection of the Isle of Paradise in the material creation, while eternal truth is the special ministry of the Paradise Sons, who not only bestow themselves upon the mortal races, but even pour out their Spirit of Truth. UrantianArtist, so powerful of
really
Christ Michael, what he has made possible by him returning to the Father, having success here in his bestowal of revealing the Father and the spiritual brotherhood, and then sends back this Spirit of Truth. How would you define for you, like, it's an influence, it's a sort of consciousness.
Well, I think both of those.
Yes.
And it is,
like,
it's a drawing power.
I was just gonna say, like, a desire, an urge.
Yes.
And when he says he's a desire of all ages.
Yes. And somewhat is like a magnet to draw us to the Father. And because we have His Spirit within us, and it is drawing us to recognize that and desire to be like our Father in heaven. Even though, like, we're mortal and we can hardly imagine that we could be that way, but it draws us to know our Heavenly Father and to trust in His Spirit leading us to accomplish that. I always love the part that talks about the two brothers that were shepherds, and they lived at Emmaus, which was about 7 miles west of Jerusalem. And they had been spent the Passover week in Jerusalem, attending upon the sacrifices, ceremonials, and feasts. And Cleopas, the elder, he was a partial believer in Jesus because he'd been cast out of the synagogue. But his brother Jacob was not a believer, although he was much intrigued by what he had heard about the Master's teachings and works. And so on this Sunday afternoon, about 3 miles out of Jerusalem, and a few minutes before 5 o'clock, as these two brothers trudged along the road to Emmaus, they talked in great earnestness about Jesus, his teachings, work, and more especially concerning the rumors that his tomb was empty, and that the certain women had talked with him. Well, Cleopas was half a mind to believe these reports, but Jacob was insistent that the whole affair was probably a fraud. And while they were arguing and debating as they made their way towards home, the Urantia manifestation of Jesus, his 7th appearance, came alongside these brothers, and Cleopas had often heard Jesus teach and had even eaten with him at the homes of Jerusalem believers on several occasions, but he did not recognize the Master, even when he spoke freely with them. And Callie, could you tell us what Jesus said to them?
Jesus said, "What were the words you exchanged so earnestly as I came upon you?" And when Jesus had spoken, they had stood still and viewed him with a sad surprise. Said Cleopas, "Can it be that you sojourn in Jerusalem and know not the things which have recently happened?" Then asked the Master, "What things?" Cleopas replied, "If you don't know about these matters, you are the only one in Jerusalem who has not heard these rumors concerning Jesus of Nazareth, who was a prophet, mighty in word and in deed before God and all the people. Then Jesus continued to walk with them, and he said to them, "That such a deliverer shall be as the shadow of a great rock in a weary land, that he will feed the flock like a true shepherd, gathering the lambs in his arms, and tenderly carrying them in his bosom, that he will open the eyes of the spiritually blind, and bring the prisoners of despair out into full liberty and light, that all who sit in darkness shall see the great light of eternal salvation, that he will bind up the brokenhearted, proclaim liberty to the captives of sin, and open up the prison to those who are enslaved by fear and bound by evil, that he will comfort those who mourn, and bestow upon them the joy of salvation in place of sorrow and heaviness, that he shall be the desire of all nations, and the everlasting joy of those who seek righteousness. That this Sun of truth and righteousness shall rise upon the world with healing light and saving power, even that he will save his people from their sins, that he will really seek to save those who are lost, that he will not destroy the weak, but minister salvation to all who hunger and thirst for righteousness, that those who believe in him shall have eternal life, and that he will pour out his Spirit upon all flesh, and that this Spirit of truth shall be in each believer a well of water, springing up into everlasting life. Did you not understand how great was the gospel of the kingdom, which this man has delivered to you? Do you not perceive how great a salvation has come upon you?
Jesus Christ has given his Spirit, a duplicate of his personal Spirit, as a personal gift to every mortal. And at one time, I was looking up all of the gifts that the Spirit of Truth gives us, and it's a beautiful list. And I'd like to read it for you. The Spirit endowment is designed to aid in the ascending search for God. It prepares our minds for the divine Spirit. It's a witness to the truth of Jesus' life and teachings. At every crossroad, it speaks, "This is the way," to teach the Father in heaven's love and the Son's mercy, to foster and personalize truth, and it guides us into all truth. It's in the place of the personal Jesus. As a new teacher comes into our heart, helps us recall the words of Jesus, helps us understand the words of Jesus. It gives us enhanced fellowship with Jesus, restates Jesus' message to each generation, leading the children of light, reveals the Son to men, labors for the kingdom, helps believers to preach the gospel, helps one make more spiritual progress than before. You become the part of fellowship of Jesus, leads all believers into all truth, gives one a consciousness of true meanings, destroys the believer's feeling of orphanhood, directs the loving contact of humans, effective for every new spiritual difficulty, eliminates mental conflict, eliminates loneliness, endows one with power from on high, from Jesus, endows one with power to forgive personal injuries, endows one with power to keep sweet despite injustice, endows one with power to remain unmoved in the face of danger, endows one with power to challenge evils of hate and anger, endows one with energy unfailing for the soul, forever unfolds to us truth of Jesus, endows us with a foundation for achievement, is a tonic for health, helps us worship, and we become like what we worship, our Father. It is a well of living water. It is idealistic beauty. The conviction of truth is a world influence which is universal, endows with joy and peace now, endows with liberty, purifies the human heart, stimulus for the mind, leads upward, urges onward, forever unfolding, power multiplying fulcrum, prepares the mind automatically to receive the Spirit from Father. It purifies the human heart, gives a spiritual bestowal of selflessness, gives one the capacity to grasp spiritual realities, gives a transformation in our lives, will strengthen us, is a comforter, will go through the waters of adversity with us, will assist us to read the minds of others if need be, helps one to not be in a hurry. The Spirit of Truth is an emblem of bestowal and ministry of Jesus Christ. With the Divine Spirit, they can bring forth beautiful harvests of the character fruits of the Spirit. And this spiritual gift, endowment, gives insight and power, makes you free from the law of animal living. It will cause you to be free from the temptations of evil and sin. It gives one the power to cast out or bind iniquitous beings. There is less conflict with numerous mortal personality, and eventually there is no more conflict with mortal nature.
UrantianArtist, in paper 194, it says, "Do not overlook the fact that the Spirit of Truth was bestowed upon all sincere believers. This gift of the Spirit did not come only to the apostles." UrantianArtist, I think it's going back to, spiritual equality,
Right,
which is
right.
what Christ Michael is saying from the beginning. UrantianArtist, thank you so much for having me on this episode of The Spirit of Truth. Is there any last words you wanted to leave us with?
I desire to end this podcast on the fruits of the Spirit with some personal words to each of you who have viewed our podcast. Thank you for watching each of the 5 episodes, and to each of you who have left such positive comments. We invite you to share personal experiences of how each topic became a reality to you. Aloha nui loa to all.